Hi everybody, welcome to Ask Jenny K. This is your chance to get answers to your quilting questions. So today's topic is what's needling you? Where I'm going to talk about needles, all different kinds of things about machine needles, and yeah, all different kinds of questions for machine needles when you're quilting. Thanks you guys for joining me. I want to make sure you have a chance, when you get a chance, to visit my website because I am giving a free pattern, this pattern here behind me, this one here behind me. It's called How Many Circles, and that is a free pattern for new email subscribers. In my emails, I cover things like events, where I'm going. I try to give you behind the scenes looks. I may give you tips. I'll let you know about sales, different kinds of things like that. I try to keep you really up to date and kind of in the know in the quilting world. Oh, okay, so be sure you visit and you have a chance to sign up. I also have a sales promotional that's going to be coming up here pretty soon. It's called First Friday for 5. So be on the lookout for more information. I'll give you more information about that as we go along. And I wanted to update you too a little bit in how I'm doing and where I'm at. I have this past few weeks, I have been recovering from bronchitis. And some of you may know last year I got really sick. I got pneumonia, 2 kinds of pneumonia, and I ended up in the hospital. So when I get sick, I just don't push it. I just take that time off and I let myself heal and I get better. So that's what I've been doing, but I'm all better now. Yay! And we're ready to go. This last week, I was working with Fawns and Porter. I was in the studio filming for Fawns and Porter, a block of the month, this beautiful purple number here, a block of the month called Ribbon Floral Block of the Month. And I mean, if you are a purple lover, this is the quilt for you. It's awesome. Let me show you here. This is the center that we made and we put all together. And I just think it's lovely. I love how this part turned out, and there's real awesome tricks, techniques to make that happen that I share in the videos that I filmed. Then the pattern is supposed to come out at the beginning of January, but of course I'll send you updates and let you know as soon as the pattern's available, and you can even go and get it through my website if you want to. These are some of the fabrics that I got to work with. Aren't they gorgeous? Again, a purple lover's dream. And we did awesome things with this striped border. I usually don't go in for border fabrics, but I did here, and I'm so happy that I did. All right, so let's get on to our topic. What's needling you? Needles for machine quilting and piecing. Now, there are 3 factors to consider when you're selecting a needle: the type of thread, the type of fabric, and the type of sewing that you're going to be doing. Those are the 3 factors to consider. So as I'm going over the rest of my points here, I want you to keep those in mind as we go along. There are basically 3 types of needles. There's a ball needle, which was designed to stretch, like those double knit polyesters and stuff. It's designed to stretch the fabrics apart and sort of create a hole without piercing the fabric and making a hole. Because in a knit, if you make a hole, if you cut the thread, then you're going to start to unravel. So the ball needle is has a more rounded tip, and it's designed to separate the thread. That is also a stretch needle, would fall into that category. You have a universal needle, which can pretty much handle a lot of different jobs, but it's not engineered specifically perfectly for one particular type of job. And then you have sharps. And quilting needles falls under the sharps category. Under sharps, you also have top stitch and jeans, those types of needles. And then there's one more category, which is I consider more a decorative category, which would be wing needles, metallic needles, something very, very specific and that you don't get used a lot, but we're not going to talk too much about those. Next thing to think about is the size of the needle. Now I know they come with kind of a funny numbering system, but I figured it out. Here's what it is. The first number here, like this is a 9014. The first number, the 90, stands for the diameter or the blade or the shaft diameter, and it's 0.9 millimeters. So if it says 90, that means it's 0.9. The shaft is 0.9 millimeters. And the 14, I believe, I know singers taking claim to that, the extra number on there, but what I think happened is that when they unify the numbering system in the 40s, that some companies decided, okay, this is the system we use and this is what our customers know, so we're going to put that on there anyways. And hence both numbers. So you got a 9014 or a 7511, whatever. But I think that's probably what happened, just to keep people from getting confused. So the smaller the thread, the smaller number needle that you want to use. Just keep that in mind. You're going with a smaller thread, smaller needle. The eye is another thing to think about. The eye should be approximately 40% larger than your thread. If you think you're pulling all that thread through there, it's got to have room to move without being eaten up or anything like that, without any kind of problems. The eye should also accommodate the type of thread. And I'll give you a really good example in the quilting world. I was working on a project. It was a Japanese style thing and had a lot of gold on it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to quilt gold on the top. So I used gold metallic thread, and I got metallic needles, and I got a whole, all different sizes, so I could try and figure out which worked best. But I got metallic needles because the eye is specially designed to keep it from shredding that metallic thread. So just something to keep in mind there. Now, questions. Here's questions I always get. What is a quilter to do? What do you tell quilters to do? This is what I say. If you're piecing, go with a quilting needle that's a 70-10 or 75-11, right around there. And I say with the quilting needle because quilting needles have been engineered, specifically designed to cut through several layers of fabric and to work well doing that each time. And to be accurate, right? It's designed to do that specifically. For if you're doing the quilting and binding, we're having to go through lots of layers, then I would follow any of the above information. Be sure to adjust the needle to the type of sewing that you're doing. And if you're using a larger, more decorative thread on the top, then you need to get a larger needle. But I would still kind of stick with the quilting area, because with the in the quilting area needles, because I think that's going to give you better results. Now, can I only use quilting needles? Well, no. You can use, I would say, anything that fits in the sharps category. Sharps, top stitching, jeans needles, any of those would work if they're the right size for what you're trying to do. For example, top stitching, you can kind of see it here, like this little line right here on my shirt, that's a top stitch line. You can think of a jacket, right, that might have a top stitch trim going all the way down. And a jeans needle for that decorative stitching, yellow decorative stitching that goes down the legs of jeans. Those will all work for what you want to do. Again, it's always a lot of trial and error. You have to try and find what's going to work best for you with your machine. Now, what about titanium? I've been asked about titanium, and I personally have not found that they last longer or work better. I haven't found a difference, except that I am more irritated when I break one because they cost more. That's all I'm going to say. You feel free to try it. Like I said, I haven't really noticed a difference on my machine, but that's me. Now, the big question everybody asks, how often do you change a needle? And here's what we hear all the time. Change your needle every 6 to 8 hours. Something else. No. For one, I'm not keeping track of how many hours am I sewing, how many, wait, is this 6.5? Is this almost 7? What is it? What is it? And I don't worry about that part. This is my rule, okay? This is my one rule here. I change the needle when there's a compelling reason to do so. For example, if I've modified my needle requirements, if I've changed the thread, if I've changed the fabric, if I've changed what I'm trying to do with it, then I probably need to change my needle and adjust that. I may go back and use the needle I was using before, but I definitely need to switch out and use a different kind of needle. Another compelling reason to change it would be if it's nicked or bent, or if it's become increasingly dull. You know you've nicked it, right? Sometimes you get it on that needle plate and you hear, oh, and then you just don't know what's going to go on with it. Forget it. It's time for that needle to go away. If you've bent it, it might have a burr. Sometimes if you've nicked it or something like that, you get a little burr in there. It doesn't sew well. Or if it just has become too dull. Many times people in class, especially new people starting out, I can hear their machine their needle trying to push through the machine, and I can hear it's dull. Your machine should make noise, but your needle shouldn't make any noise when it's gliding beautifully through the fabric and doing all the work it needs to do. So it could be nicked, bent, or dull. If you're finding that you're getting skipped or misaligned stitches, if you've been going along fine and then all of a sudden, oh, skipping stitches here, I wonder why I did that, or they're just not lining up as exactly as they were before, change the needle. Time to change that needle. If you're suddenly encountering tension problems that you didn't have before, right? Again, sewing along, everything's fine, and now somehow my tension's off. Well, in that case, probably I'd pull everything out, rethread, and try it again. And if I'm still having tension problems, then it's a needle. And if I'm starting a huge project, like when I was starting working on this project for Fonza Porter, right? I know I'm going to be working a long time strictly on that project. I'm going to be using that needle a lot. I will go ahead and start with a fresh needle. No reason not to, really. Okay, my tried and trues, what I usually use, where do they go here? There we go. Okay, I use the Schmetz needles, and because I like those. I think that's just what I started with, what happened to be available most often around me when I started, so I've kind of come to rely on those. Or, here we go, here's Universal. Class A. Class A needles. They're actually a pretty good deal buying them in the shop. I got some good deals on them, so I started using those to try those out, and they work pretty well. But that's not to say anything disparaging about Inspira. Hey, I want to try those sometimes. I haven't had a chance yet. Or Grossbeckert. Grossbeckert. I want to try those too. And so I would say leave yourself open to trying different brands of needles to try to find what works well. I've heard good things about organ needles, and there's a few others out there, but try and find what is going to work the best for you. So again, my basic thing is the 3 factors considering the proper needle is the type of thread, the type of fabric, and your type of sewing. It has to accommodate all 3. It has to work with all 3 in order to be successful. All right. So that's it for this topic. Next time, we are going to talk about pressing matters. I'm going to show you the irons that I've got that I really like and what I really like about them, what to look for in a good iron, and we'll answer other kinds of issues that people have in regards to pressing. So I appreciate the views, likes, comments, everybody chiming in, and subscriptions and shares. I love it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time.